Okay guys, so here I have EVGA Superclock GTX 760 with two fans, and here I have my Corsair Air 540 case. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna install this bad boy into the case, connect the power, do the power measurement, and do some benchmarks. So first things first, I'm gonna show you how to install this graphics card into a computer case. First, you need a screwdriver, or you might not. You remove the two thumb screws from the back. Then you remove the side panel. Then you make sure that your graphics card doesn't have any plastic or some sort of protector there on the PCI Express pins. And you remove any brackets that are required so your card can go in freely. Then you place the graphics card like so and push it in. And it clicks. And here you're gonna need to put two thumb screws or screws into the case. Next, we're going to need some power. So I have two PCI Express cables here from my fully modular power supply. And I'm going to plug them in to the card. So you need one 8-pin, one 6-pin. They are both 8 pins in my case. So we're going to use 8 pins on one and 6 pins on another. Okay, and that's pretty much it. That's how the graphics card looks like installed. So next is power up and some benchmarks and power usage tests. All right, so power wattage first. The reading at the moment is, say, around 70 watts, so that's idle. And on load, goes up to 285, we can call it 290 watts. All right, so before the benchmark results come in, there's some information about my system. I'm running Intel i5-3570K at stock speeds with a G.Skill 4x4GB at 1600 megahertz. I have an Intel 330 SSD, 120 gigs, and all is sitting in Asus Maximus Gen 5 motherboard. And obviously I'm benchmarking GTX 760 by EVGA, and this is overclocked edition. Now, in terms of the drivers, I have GeForce R331 Game Ready driver, which is also known as 331.82 driver. And for the software, I'm going to be using performance test only 2D, 3D. And here's the result. In a 2D, I got 889, and 3D, I got 5812. Next, I went for more synthetic benchmarks. I used Catzilla from EVGA. This is free benchmark, can be downloaded for free and used for free. And it's 1.11 version. Now this version, because it's free, only allows 578p. And using that preset, I got 19,200 points. As you see on the screenshot there, hardware, which is CPU plus GPU, is 19,047, physics 705, for test 1571, fluid test 1104, ray mark test 665, and loading time 10,920. As you see, by the way, physics test is a CPU bound. Then I went to good old 3D Mark Basic Edition, and I scored Ice Storm 159,400 roughly, CloudGate 16,800, and Firestrike 5,800. And I also just out of interest, I downloaded Asus free benchmark, which is called Real Bench, and it's version 1.1. You can get it for free as well. And in image editing, I got 455, encoding 400, multitasking 742, system score 532. Now, this benchmark seems to be more CPU bound, so I don't know if there's anything used in terms of the GPU power, but here you go. And last but not least, I used Metro Last Light with all max settings, 1080p. Total frames, I got 4,392 in the first run. And all the runs really, guys, pretty much the same, so I'm just gonna go with this. Average 2572, max 7724, and minimum 8.33. Now max and minimum can be varying, so I wouldn't worry about them too much. Average, on the other hand, stays pretty much the same, and I got 25.72. Now, speaking about temperatures, the temperature of this graphics card goes up to 80 degrees. On the 4Mark, running it for around 5 minutes, I got up to 78 degrees, and it kind of kept climbing a little bit, but as we know, there's a GPU Boost 2.0 and other technologies that basically what happens is when you reach 80 degrees, it will start throttling down, so reducing the speed of the GPU, and basically that would bring temperature a little bit down. So the speed of the graphics card won't be the same, but at least it won't go up to 80, kind of 90 degrees and so on and so forth. So I don't know, in comparison to Gigabyte version that you can see on my channel as well, I did notice that this graphics card runs as cool and as fast, so no worries there. It also has some nice gizmo that I'm going to show you now. Alright guys, so there's a little extra here. This application on Android, I don't know if you can properly see it, but basically I can connect it to my PC and see the settings of the graphics card, and also control the power target, speed of the fan, temperature target, and offset of the GPU clock and the memory clock. Also, if I do this, basically launch an application, I can also see a real-time monitoring. So as you see, that also changes. And we have power increase, GPU clock increase, memory clock increase, temperature obviously is going to rise up as well. And that way I can monitor it, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure if other manufacturers does that as well, but it's pretty nice if you have an Android phone like this one. Now, so yeah guys, that's pretty much it. Let's go with the closing thoughts, and I'm gonna just tell you what I think about the graphics card. So in terms of the power usage, as you see, when it's idling, it's only 71.4 watts. When it's completely under load, it's about 290. However, if you are playing game, it doesn't mean that it's going to go to 290. For instance, I was playing an old game called Saboteur, if that's how it's pronounced. And this meter was showing me only 110 to 120 watts, which means the graphics card basically adjusts to the requirement of the game and increases or decreases the power usages and obviously memory and clock speeds. Which is pretty nice, because obviously there's no difference for most of us whether the game runs at say 70 or 100 FPS or whether it runs 1000 FPS. It's pretty much the same. Now, talking about FPS going into thousands, there's another thing with this graphics card that a little bit annoys me, but not a deal breaker. I'm going to show you that right now. So if I launch performance test, I'm going to start hearing this. So I'm just going to put my mic near the PC. And I hope you guys can hear it now. Okay, so that basically is what's so-called coil whining. Now, this is not a new phenomenon. This has been on the graphics cards for ages, more on the AMD graphics cards than NVIDIA. It's a little bit annoying. It's, as I said, it's not a deal breaker. However, it would be nice not to have that at all. Now, it only happens, I noticed, when your PC goes, when the software you're running goes into kind of hundreds and hundreds of FPS, maybe into 1000 nearly FPS, like a 3D Mark. First couple tests are going really wild, hundreds of FPS. And there we have this coil whining, which, as I said, once again, how many games you're going to be running with hundreds and hundreds of FPS? Most games, if you max out, going to run on this graphics card in between kind of 50 and maybe 100 FPS, and that's about it. So you're not going to hear much. But if you're running something like Portal 2, for instance, not on the full settings, you might have a lot of FPS there. And basically, FPS, by the way, is a frames per second. You might have a lot of frames per second, and it will produce this coil whining. And I did try it on the Portal 2, by the way, 1080p on the low settings, and you can hear that. But anyway, that's about it. The graphics card performs very well. Temperatures are handled pretty well on this. I'm quite happy. I was playing once again Saboteur game. The power reading was about 130 watts, and I had graphics card obviously adjusting in speeds to produce a playable FPS, but not to go over the top, and that allowed graphics card to remain at about 30 degrees when the room temperature was about 18 to 20 degrees, which is pretty nice. So yeah guys, that's about it in terms of the performance. Next video on my channel will be about this Motorola Moto G phone. This has been released about a month ago in Europe, and I think it's about to be released in States. I did use it for already maybe a week already, and I do like it, and I would like to share my thoughts with you. So yeah, but this video about the EVGA GTX 760 2GB DDR5 overclocked or superclocked edition is over. If you have any questions, leave them at the comment section down below. If you like the video, click the like button and subscribe. And as always, have a nice day.